Okay, call this meeting of the council to order. We've got to begin with the section. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. One nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice. Okay, we have 3 sets of minutes to review. I think for the 11th, 12th, and 14th of December. Does anyone have any comments or corrections for any of these sets of minutes?
On page 7 of December 12th. It's just a typo. On the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6th line down. Instead of saying form, it should say from.
6th line or 6th paragraph?
6th paragraph, I'm sorry.
Oh, form endorsing, so it could be from.
Yeah.
Got it. Anything else? Do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll make a motion. We approve the minutes of the 11th, 12th, and 14th of December, 2023.
Okay.
Second.
Ms. Carlin is not able to be with us this evening, so I'll read the treasurer's report that she prepared in her absence. Oh, pardon me, thank you. All in favor of approving the minutes of December 11th, 12th, and 14th, say aye.
Aye.
Yes, sorry, I'm really out of it. We forgot roll call. It's where you do the roll call, please.
Council President Suzanne Souter.
Here.
Councilperson Joseph Day.
Here.
Councilperson Nerman Zubaka.
Present.
Councilperson Andrew Zelt.
Here.
Councilperson Brian Mataway.
Here.
Also present, Mayor Valerie Leary. City Administrator Max Walton.
Oh,
and
City solicitor.
I'm so sorry. City Solicitor Max Walton and Chief of Police Richard McCabe.
Thank you. Did you forget anything else? Okay, thank you. All right, Ms. Carlin prepared the treasurer's report, but she's not able to be with us this evening, so all the members of council have a copy in their packet. The total unrestricted funds are $10,054,025.70. The total restricted funds are $2,532,771.40, giving total in the accounts of $12,586,997.10. I'm afraid I can't answer any questions. If anyone is pretty unclear, she would be happy to answer them via email or phone call. Do I have a motion to approve the treasurer's report subject to audit?
Move. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Okay. For the administrative report. Oh, excuse me, chief report for the chief.
Thank you. Good evening. This should hopefully be brief, but our December report is on the website for your review. Nothing major in the month of December. A couple of community events. The Adopt a Family program was incredibly successful. Again, had a lot to do with the support that we get from residents who donated not just gifts but money, and then some of their time to help get things wrapped. I think all the families were remarkably touched, so it was a nice event to be part of. Our clinician has started. Right now we're in a phase where we're just doing ride-alongs with her, so she can get used to the area, and then maybe she can see what getting dispatched to a complaint looks like. And we're in the process of outfitting her so that she's ready to go. The second part of our program, we're still working with this nonprofit group that we're going to hire. I think they've already hired a peer support. They're looking for a case manager. Once the case manager is on board, then we're going to work with a group that helps us build a database so that we can track all of this. So we're one step closer to that. And I think that's all I have.
Any questions for the
Chief, if I could just have one question. I'm not sure if it's currently tracked, but wondering if you, in coordination with the fine men and women of Goodwill, can track for us the instances in which we have late payment. So for example, Jerry Cutoff here, around 3 Countries Pizza. If my math is correct, I think that's been closed maybe about 3 or 4 times since November. We know that flooding is an issue here in this town, but as we work with our partners in the county and at the state level, having that type of data point for, in the last year, we closed our roads 20 times. And these are the roads that had to be closed, would better equip us in our communication.
Yeah, I think we can track that down.
Thank you.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Okay, the administrative report, pardon me. A little bit of progress on the new band shell. I did had some time to search around a bit more on the internet, and I did find some sources for mobile stages. I discovered that was the key word to put in, and that are more suited to our needs and within our budget than the things we had previously seen. So I hope to get together with Mr. Day and maybe some people in town who perform in outdoor venues to look at, what features are important to them, and also to consult with Public Works, since they have to move the thing around and back it into place and all that to make sure it fits their needs as well. So hopefully we can make some more progress on that. The dog park is moving along. Mr. Zoe, would you like to talk about that now or wait till you're?
No, we did it right now. So we had an initial meeting for six people, 5 people plus me and 2 others that couldn't make it. We're talking about the size. We did get initial layout of where the dog park will be. We're still trying to understand that size, if that will meet the needs. We're looking to get an actual meeting at the physical location that we can see. And we'll be pulling some information together through the contract that we received from Trust. We need to put some rules together and then also define the size and everything. It's come together, and we're just waiting to get a meeting to physically see the location.
Thank you. We thank everyone who participated. Okay. As we mentioned, I mentioned last month in November, Mr. Day asked if we could have a presentation about proposed housing projects here in Newcastle, including permits that have been issued, and Mr. Zabaka was interested in making this information more available to residents on the website. And I later learned that the Planning Commission is interested in both of those things as well, so we decided to combine forces. Planning Chair Margot Rain teaches at the University of Delaware School of Business and Economics, put us in touch with a professor from that college. And one of his classes is on management information technology for small businesses and local governments. As one of their projects, the students are required to work with a business or a local government to design a system that they need. And Councilperson Zabaka and I participated in a Zoom meeting with Ms. Rain and this professor on December 14th. We learned that he's had over 100 students go through this class, and none of the projects has failed. The students are 2nd semester seniors, so these are fairly advanced students, and it's a 6-credit course, so it's a big deal for them. They want to do a good job. The cost to the city to participate in this is $250. So we could come nowhere close to getting this level of work done anywhere else. So the students may also be able to work on upgrading our city website, and that if there's not enough time to fit it into the spring semester, it might have to be another project for the following year, but that could be very beneficial as well. So Mr. Zabaka may have something to add.
No, just that it was exciting to learn that, we could get some great solutions, and if it doesn't work out, it's not a great cost to the city.
Exactly.
But if it does work out, we get, something that's improvement, but that cost us $250.
Right. We'll be scheduling a mid-year budget review for the first week of February. We're working on dates that work for everybody. And of course, once we set a date, that will be announced as usual. The storm drain on West Fourth Street across from the entrance to the Goodwill Fire Company is being repaired. And finally, pardon me, Sarah Crawford, who was our contracted tourism director, has submitted her resignation effective February 29th. She didn't give a reason, but until then, she will continue to work. For example, she asked me for some information about Separation Day, so she could continue her work publicizing city events, and she said that she would share all her documents and information with city staff before her final day. The council thinks we'll defer a decision about whether or not to replace this position until the new city administrator is on board and see what he or she thinks. I think that's all I have for the.
Council President, could I just ask a question about that? Could we task her to, and I don't know if it's appropriate, to give us by then, a layout of what she thinks is opportunity for our city when it comes to, strategies that she would propose to, increase
Okay, I can
tourism
ask her.
visits or promotion even of things. So just so we can,
Strategies and opportunities.
look into those as a city. Thank you.
Okay, business from the mayor.
Did we not?
I'm
have
sorry, I
council
skipped council communications. Sorry about this. Okay, let's start at this end tonight. Mr. Mattingly, did you have anything?
Yes, thank you, Council President. Hello, everyone, and Happy New Year. Heartfelt thank you, it's made, and given to the men and women who serve as first responders in our community in respect to the storms and its aftermath. In instances such as this, we're not just talking about the great police work and firefighters, but also the public works employees and municipal services who get up in the middle of the night to do whatever is necessary. Thank you. Last Tuesday, I had an opportunity to attend the Colonial School District meeting that was at William Penn High School. Presentation was made in respect to a district-wide infrastructure enhancements and the solicitation of money and support. A referendum will take place in respect to the Colonial School District. It will be held February 29th, 2024, from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. There are several locations where voting will take place, which includes the Senior Center. Extensive information can be found on the Colonial School District's website. The City of Newcastle is effectively a $12 million entity, also known as a business. In 2024, we need to embrace a business mindset. We need to be about our business and make it crystal clear that we are open for business. I'm calling on the city and my colleagues on council to support our membership to the Newcastle County and Delaware Chamber of Commerce. We are not a member of either one of these organizations. Joining does not cost a lot of money. There is a nominal fee, but in order to make money, you have to spend money. And certainly this fits. In business, it's often said that you are at the table or on the table. The city of Newcastle needs to assume our position of leadership as we strive to be included as decisions are formed, financed, and finalized. Joining will give us the opportunity to host events which will drive business and revenue. Being at the table and in the room with Christiana Care, JP Morgan, Bank of America, DuPont, and others is never a bad idea. There is a precedent. Other municipalities are members, need to join in on the fun. On December the 3rd, Dustin and Jennifer Ramsdale gave birth to their daughter, Madeline Hazel. We wish the Ramsdale family well, and we are excited to see Maddie grow. I had the opportunity with Mayor Leary and Mr. Zelt, Council President Zelt, to attend a ribbon cutting ceremony for a new restaurant in our city, AK Bites, and we certainly wish that family well. Finally, is with sorrow in my heart that I acknowledge that the lives of Miss Joan Smith and Miss Ann Scott and Mr. John Lafferty have been cut short. Our thoughts and prayers are with those families and friends of the departed. I did not know Miss Smith or Miss Scott. I know people spoke highly of them. Did have the pleasure of knowing Mr. John Lafferty. Would often run into him at Jessup's or out on the path running. He loved life and he loved the city. He will be missed. Council President, I'll yield the remainder of my time. I want you to know that you're doing a good job.
Well, thank
You are
you.
doing a
Thank
good
you,
job
Mr.
in these
Zell.
circumstances.
Thank you, Mr. Dunaway. Okay, Mr. Zell.
I just had the dog park, so nothing else for me to see.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Day?
The other thing I'd like to touch on is, and Brian brought it up, was about John Lafferty. John served on the planning commission for years here and was really an integral member of that commission. He put a lot of effort in, and his passing will be missed. He was a great citizen for the city of Newcastle.
Thank you. And Mr. Zabaka?
Also short updates. I wanted to echo Brian's thanks to first responders and, MSC Public Works for all the work. Increased work lately, it seems, to keep us all, safe and happy New Year. I guess I hope 2024 is a successful year for everybody personally and, as a city, so.
Okay, thank you. Now Mayor Leary.
I'm just gonna sit right here. So Happy New Year to everyone here in the room and on Zoom and in our city who's not here. Again, I want to echo kudos to our public works, our law enforcement, our fire department, everyone who really worked well together on the storms of the last couple of weeks. I had asked for a 30,000-foot overview reports from everybody, and one of the things that everybody said was the communication between all of them were really good. We had staging of all of the barriers and signs and stuff out before the first raindrop fell. So thanks, guys. I know what it's like to be out in the weather. We are moving ahead with our community outreach. Brian and councilpersons Zubaka and Mataway will join me on February 10th at the library, the Newcastle Library on Delaware Street. From 10 a.m. to noon. We were hoping to get into Buttonwood in February, but I just made contact with Miss Petty regarding the Buttonwood School. So we are going to aim for March to go into the Buttonwood School. So, but on February 10th, it's for community downtown or whoever else would like to come by, 10 a.m. to 12, and we'll be in the front conference room. There's a separate entrance door. We'll have a sign out. I don't have anything else. I was with Halal Bites. That was fun. And the food was good. If you haven't tried it out, try it out. But just be careful driving home, everyone. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Okay, any comments from the fire department?
Good evening. A couple of things, since the last council meeting, we've had a few incidents in the city. In December, we had a fire in the Boothurst community. That's being investigated by the fire marshal. And then a couple of days ago, we had a fire in Newcastle Manor, also being investigated by the fire marshal's office. And then in the early mornings, or rush hour mornings, we end up having a truck trailer accident on Wilmington Road there and Castle Hill Drive. So that incident was mitigated pretty quickly with a couple of Newcastle police and the neighboring bar company that we called in to help us out. And then in front of you tonight, though I didn't get it emailed out soon enough for everybody to get a good look at it. But we wanted to fall in line with how Chief McCabe sends out information on what goes on in the city and stuff, the calls, incidents and stuff. So this is the end of the year report for 2023. It is, broken down by totals of fire and EMS. In blue is the fire responses. And in the amber or orangish color is the EMS responses. This basically gives an overview of, how busy we are, in district, as well as how busy we are out of district. If there is anything else that Martha would like to see, and you can do our very best to get it in a package. We plan on doing this every month as well, and that way you can kind of see, what our numbers are, how busy we are monthly, and
I noticed you have it broke down into sectors. And maybe next month if we can have a map that identifies where those sectors are.
Okay.
For those of us who don't know,
Okay.
just to have it included in the packet as like, oh, okay. Thank you.
Any other questions for Captain Moore?
Short ones, hopefully. If it's not too much trouble, if you could add percentages of total on any page, going forward, that would be really helpful. Next to numbers, if it's too much trouble, no worries. Even as labels would be okay. If not, space alone.
If you turn to the very last page. Is that what you're looking for percentage wise?
Yeah.
Okay, so, we have to pull from two different reports for this. So I would have to go back and look, because I don't know off the top of my head in reference to if there are percentages that are on fire report that we pull from. I know there are on our EMS side, so.
Yeah, the last page will work too, so no trouble. And just the second question is for in-district totals, can you explain what's 1800 and 1810 standing for, just
Yeah,
Those are the same.
so the the 1800s are all the grids in Newcastle that go off our company respond. So the 1800 grid is the city of Newcastle, and then part of the 1810 grid and part of 1820 is the city of Newcastle.
Okay, so this is just for your location when you're.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Captain Moore, I have one quick question for you. If it's not possible, it's all right. Just wondering, is there an ability to get, say, a time breakdown? For example, these are the calls from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. or from 12 a.m. to 5 p.m.
Yeah.
To kind of know like when when is it really busy versus, et cetera.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So that's the time breakdown will, on the EMS report, it's broken down in every 3 hours. So it'll be from 6 in the morning to, 6 6 to 9, 9 to 12, that kind of stuff. That's how it's been broken down.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
Captain
you.
Moore. Okay, I got the order scrambled a bit again, but I have very few remarks, council president's remarks. I want to echo thanks to Public Works and first responders for dealing with 2 storms in a week, including staging last week in preparation for road closures with the anticipated flooding. Public Works also went around and cleaned some storm drains in advance, so that, again, to try to do some preventive work instead of dealing with the flooding afterwards, to try to prevent it. The Public Works building did have some damage, wind damage to the shingles, I believe, and so we're working with our insurance company about get the repairs going. And the only other thing I want is to explain that when we get into the new business, we're going to be voting. We'll designate our top 3 choices to fill the city administrator position. We closely reviewed, I think it was 13 applications, and from those narrowed it down to 6 people that we interviewed. And we've now, after the interviews, narrowed that further to our top 3 choices. Tonight, we will designate the priority order of those top 3 choices. We're not publicly naming the candidates at this time because all of them currently have jobs in Delaware, and only one of them is going to get the job. So we don't want to damage the careers of the other 2 by making it known that they're looking for a new job. So that's the reason for the way it's being handled tonight. We have discussed this extensively in executive session, where we could discuss the individuals more fully. And that's the basis on which we'll be making the decision tonight. The next item is public comments, and I'll just remind us again that we'll try to answer simple questions. If we know the answer, we can't engage in extended discussion of any item not on the agenda. Please remember to sign in. The sheet is on the podium, and to state your name and address. And as always, you have 3 minutes, and Mr. Zelt is our timekeeper. Anyone have any comments tonight?
Good evening, council and fellow residents. Bill Gross, 1301 13th Street. First, I'd like to wish everyone a happy new year. Excellent news. Mr. Zabaka, catching the college student as far as possibly being a big help with getting the city site set, as well as working with other issues in the city. Me having been a business owner, management, retail, I also want to thank Councilperson Mattaway as far as including the Chamber of Commerce, having been a member with them as well. It's an excellent opportunity because I know Middletown and a couple other municipalities are members, and it's really helped them in many different ways. As far as Zoom, for situations like tonight, I feel that council should consider two-way Zoom as far as when it comes to public comments. I think it's worked in the past. The Lions Club has used it in their regional and district meetings, so I know it works. It's a simple way of doing it, so I urge you to investigate that. As far as Michael Marinelli and the Flood Resiliency Committee, he's a really good guy, had a lot of feedback and a lot of input. I've been attending most of the city meetings for 6-7 years, and he contributed a lot. So I urge you to bring him back. As far as a committee of one when it comes to deciding on who our city administrators should be, I understand the sensitivity of naming the person, but I do believe that you should have other input. So anyway, thank you.
Okay,
Can I just touch up on the website real quick?
sure.
I just wanted to say thank you about a website comment, but it wasn't just me who did it, so I just want to take the credit for it, but I appreciate it mentioning.
And I just want to say the committee of one is not making the decision. The council as a whole has already made the decision. So the vote,
No, you're gonna make.
well, we're gonna, we have discussed it. And we are going to make the official decision tonight. So the purpose of the committee of one is simply to negotiate contract in conjunction with the city solicitor with the chosen candidate who accepts the position. So no, this committee of one is not the only person making the decision.
Can I follow up?
Sure.
Just say that, for number one, we want to make sure, and we have, done everything in compliance with FOIA, the way it's supposed to be done. The selection will be made in this fashion. There's just one person appointed, because if you have two people, then you have a committee under FOIA. If you have one, you have a committee, so you can have a direct discussion and bring that. That contract will then be brought back to council. And that will be voted upon by council. It will be public. It's just the mechanics of getting a contract together is where the committee.
While we're here, Maxine, just tell the public whether this is gonna be part of regular meeting or special meeting when we vote on the contract, just so that, you know, people can anticipate that. Or is that just gonna be depending on the timing?
TBD,
Yeah,
Depending on the timing?
because we don't know how long it's going to take to get through that process,
Mhm.
right? So we're
Yeah.
gonna,
Fair enough.
I can say that I put a draft together.
I just wanted to make sure people are, you know, looking out for it.
but it will definitely be a public meeting. It will be announced. It's not
Right.
gonna be,
The person will be here.
Right.
Can I comment on two-way Zoom?
sure.
So just comment about two-way Zoom, Phil, I think it's something we're looking into, but I think what I wish I did today or the night before is encourage people, given the weather, to submit a written comment, you know, so that people can have, you know, their comments read. So I think that's something we can definitely, you know, like keep doing as a city and all of our council members in our, you know, platforms to just, you know, keep it, you know, reminding people that if you're unable to come, regardless of whether or not, right? Some other reasons to, you know, submit the, you know, email.
It's
comments.
an
So just-
antiquated way of doing that.
I know, but without that having to be even voted in, you know, there's still a way to, you know, to have your voice heard.
Okay, and speaking of that, I do have a written comment to read tonight that came in this afternoon. So this comment come,
Let's see if anybody else.
oh, I'm sorry, yes, of course. Before I do that, does anyone else have any comments? Okay, and I will read the comments from Dorothy Fisk of 26 East Third Street. She begins, I had intended to attend this meeting, but the weather makes it too hazardous, so I'm sending this comment. Last Monday, January 8th, I emailed the council members, a draft complaint for the Division of Civil Rights and Public Trust in the Department of Justice, which I had drawn up in 2018-19, but not filed. I hope you have all had an opportunity to read it. I thought it might be useful as you are about to hire a new city administrator, since it referenced the police, the then city administrator, and possibly other city officials and several trustees of the Newcastle Common in possible acts of citizen intimidation. Some years had passed since the incident, so I was not sure that it would be useful to submit the complaint to the Department of Justice at this time. However, since the trial of Phil Gross the next day was dismissed with conditional nolle prosequi, as the police were unable to produce any evidence he had stolen the signs involved, but only of his possession, his case may need to be added to my list on the draft complaint. I am concerned that the accusations against Mr. Gross may have been a setup. If so, it is another example of the weaponization of the police to intimidate Newcastle residents, a very serious matter. And all of these need to be addressed by council. So.
Public comment.
Is there any other public comment? Okay, I believe the chief has some comments.
Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity to address this. And typically I don't, but this seems to be kind of a growing message. So I wanted to address a few things. And it has to be done generally because we don't speak specifically about any investigations for obvious reasons. So what I want to first say that I would encourage anybody that has a concern about whether or not the police department is acting appropriately or not to file that complaint. I would not recommend sitting on it. The decrypt is there for a reason. The Civil Rights and Public Trust Unit from the AG's office. I have said from the moment that I took this position that we are doing things the way that we're supposed to doing things, but we encourage people that if they're not comfortable with something, have it looked into. Nothing would make me happier than to be able to describe each one of these incidents that Ms. Fisk is discussing in detail, but I can't. But if you take these to public trust and they review them, who knows what they'll do with this information, but we're very comfortable that the things that we've done were by the book. Not once has any elected or appointed official ever had any impact on any criminal prosecution that my agency has taken. Never. They haven't before, they do not now, and they never will. It's just not an accurate, it's not an accurate allegation. Anybody can come up here and say anything without any background. We have to support the decisions that we make. So it's just not accurate. And I hope that most folks understand that, you know, there's this growing notion that and over the last few meetings, I've heard a couple of different allegations that we've sat back and let go. One, because there's some privacy issues that are involved. But recently it was alleged that we covered a lynching. This was a young man who had drug and alcohol problems. And I need to be careful. That was and I will say this, if when somebody struggles with substance abuse and mental health issues, they make decisions that sometimes they're sad, they're very tragic. And for somebody to take a situation like that and make it something that it's not is it's disturbing. So we have been transparent. We are open. If you're not comfortable with my answers, there is a chain of command, and there are ways to get answers that you're looking for. So if I sound like if I'm stammering, it's because I want to be able to say a lot more than I can, but I don't want to open the city up. As I've said this before, transparency equals vulnerability. But I want to be as transparent as I can without making. If I were to support our decisions, highlighting why we made the decisions we made, folks on the other end of this could have a reason to get upset. So we don't want that. We are an independent agency. We do not prosecute anybody in this city because anybody in this room or anybody that's filled the seats before you has encouraged it, suggested it, or asked for it. We need the evidence that we need before we make those decisions. And anybody that suggests anything other than that does not understand the system. And I just want to lastly end with the notion that some of the cases where an enter of noli prosequi exists in some of these. That does not define innocence. It does not define guilt. There are dozens and dozens of reasons why an attorney general will not prosecute a case. Noli prosequi simply means in Latin, we don't want to prosecute. It doesn't mean the case is strong. It doesn't mean it's weak. It's a decision that could be made for anything. In most cases, it's made, you know, quite frankly, because it's one of maybe 300 or 400 cases for that week. And the trials are reserved for cases that they may prioritize. So and I don't want to speak on behalf of the AG's office, but there are so many different factors that go into this. And I think it's important that folks, you know, understand that I don't know how more transparent we can be. I don't know what else we could say to put people at ease that we are not the enforcement arm of a city that doesn't want to be questioned. So I hope, again, I know I'm stammering, but I have to be careful what I say because I don't want to make the city any more. But,
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, I hope there are questions.
Just a quick question, to hopefully encourage people. Well, first of all, hope there's not many complaints in general. But for people that do have, you know, like we're just reading in this public comment, have been sitting on something like that. I can agree with, you know, with your comment that that's something that we would like to have submitted earlier so that if it is true, I'm not saying anything, that it can be addressed by the department, you know, and those things are not persistent, you know, in the community. But just a question for you, is the submission of these complaints anonymous or can it be anonymous? In a sense that it would encourage perhaps any submission of this, so that hopefully somebody's not sitting on it for years.
So I don't know.
If that's the case.
I know I have a link to the site on my website, so I've provided that, but I don't know exactly what that looks like.
Okay.
From our perspective, we use them as well. So if I have an officer that we're investigating that we think has broken the law, we use the same group. And I've done this before where we sit down and say, I'm investigating an officer that may have committed a criminal act. They'll do their review, we do our review, and then we make a decision. They review shootings, they review a lot of things. So it's citizens that complain about, excuse me, corruption or something to that effect. I don't know what that looks like.
Okay.
At some point, they're going to have to defend the allegation, right? At some point, they're going to have to show why or where they're getting their information from. So, I suspect that these things aren't submitted because there are elements to that don't exist. And it's like I said, anybody can get up here the second Tuesday of every month and say whatever they want to say. They're not under any obligation to prove any of this. So but again, I don't know.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Okay. Is there any new business? Any other comments? Okay, the new business, the first item is a possible vote and selection of a person for negotiation of terms of employment as city administrator, or establishment of a ranking for finalists for negotiation of an employment agreement. So each of the council members has a sheet of paper with the 3 candidates that we identified as our top priority. So tonight we need to rank order them with the notion that whoever is the first choice, we approach that person, see if, if they accept the offer, at least enter into negotiations. If they say, sorry, I took another job, then we could move to the second choice and so on without having to have another meeting. That's the purpose of doing it this way in the interest of efficiency. So I will make a motion that of the 3 candidates listed, the person listed as candidate number 2 is our first choice. The person listed as candidate number 1 is our second choice. And the person listed as candidate number 3 is our third choice. Is there a second to that motion?
Just a question.
Yeah.
So I'm certainly comfortable with the first 2 candidates. If we got to the third candidate, I almost feel like I'd be more comfortable with interviewing a couple of them again. But that's just my opinion. Can we just use the 2 and the 1? And that's just my suggestion. I don't want to speak for, I'm not speaking for all the council, but
There's nothing that prevents you from doing that.
I think
You're just doing
we should
A and B.
regain or readjust if we go past the second one, in my opinion.
Motion, we're going to second.
Okay.
You so choose.
Yeah.
Do we need to vote on that? or-
No, we don't have a second.
We don't have a second.
Do we need to vote on what?
Well, no, if I amend the motion, then
Okay.
if the amendment.
I'll second that.
Wait a minute, are you seconding my motion?
Second.
So, all right, I will amend my motion to say that instead of 3, a priority of 3, we will have a priority of 2. And that the person listed as candidate number 2 is our first choice or first priority, and the person listed as candidate number 1 is our second choice. And we'll stop there. If neither of those candidates is willing to accept the job, or if we can't reach an agreeable contract with them, then we will regroup before we proceed.
I'll second that.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, any discussion?
So if we're not in agreement with the order,
Okay,
how do we handle that?
well,
We have a motion and a second. It'll be voted upon in this order. If
Okay,
it gets voted down, then we'll do a new motion and we'll,
sounds good.
okay?
okay. So any other discussion? So all in favor? No.
Roll call.
Oh, roll call. Okay, so the vote will be that Our first choice is the person listed as candidate number 2. Our second choice is the person listed as candidate number 1. So Ms. Weir will call the roll.
Council President Suzanne Souter,
Aye.
Councilperson Brian Mataway,
Aye.
Councilperson Andrew Zubaka,
Say it again.
Andrew Zelt or Norman?
everybody. Bad night. Councilperson Andrew Zelt,
Yay.
Councilperson Joseph Day.
Aye.
Councilperson Norman Zubaka.
Aye.
Okay, then I believe that means the decision is carried, and the sequence is candidate number 2, followed by, candidate number 2 is the first choice, and candidate number 1 is the second.
Number 2. You ready for number 2?
Well, now we'll move on to the second issue, which is a discussion and possible authorization for the council president as a committee of 1 to negotiate an agreement with the city administrator candidate, and that would be the people we've just voted on, starting with the first choice, and to bring terms to council for final approval. Do I have a motion
I'll make the motion.
and a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion?
You need a roll call for this.
Oh, okay. So all in favor?
I think she could have rolled. Brilliant.
I don't think you need a roll call.
Okay,
for that.
I'm sorry.
So it's just saying that the person is gonna negotiate, so I know it's unanimous, so we're good.
Okay. Then the final item on the agenda for tonight is the reappointment of someone to the Michael Marinelli. Yes, I was going to read it. Resolution number 2024-01, a resolution to reappoint Michael Marinelli to the Flood Resiliency Committee. Whereas the Newcastle City Council established the Sea Level Rise Task Force by Resolution 2022-04, and whereas Resolution 2023-32 converted that task force to a permanent committee, and whereas Resolution 2023-32 also established a staggered schedule of expiration of the term of the current members of the task force, and whereas Michael Marinelli's term expired December 31st, 2023, and he is willing to be reappointed, now therefore be it resolved that the City Council hereby reappoints the following person to the Flood Resiliency Committee. Michael Marinelli, Flood Resiliency Committee, term ending January 9th, 2027. Is there a motion to approve this resolution?
Motion.
A second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion is passed. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We stand adjourned. Thank you all very much for coming out on this cold night.
We cannot-